Hey, howdy, hey, how is everybody doing? And welcome back to Disney Daily. Today we focus on one of the most classic Disney characters, pop culture icon, and prominent member of the Disney Villains franchise. It's none other than Cruella De Vil. If you didn't already know, Disney is already working on a live action of Cruella De Vil starring Emma Stone that will explain her whole backstory in detail. However, until the movie is released, we can speculate what her life was like before. Now to start, we know that Cruella was a fashionista with an unhealthy and scary obsession for Dalmatian skin. But what exactly was her backstory? Was she always a crazed villain, or was she perhaps a sweet, lonely, misunderstood girl? Now, I know there is a Once Upon a Time episode that focused on Cruella, but since that is not canon, I'm gonna try to stay away from it for the sake of the video. Alright, so let's get started. In order to understand and break down Cruella's origin, I tried to narrow down key pieces of information from the 1961 film. Number 1, she is extremely wealthy, which can be identified via her clothing, her car, her henchmen, and her overall flashy nature. Number 2, that she was in fact schoolmates with Anita. Perhaps they were good friends, which makes a lot of sense since they kept in touch for so many years. Number 3, that Cruella or her family is well known. They have owned property in the town for quite some time. Now in the movie, her house has been abandoned but is known as Hell Hall and the Old Deville place, which reveals that there is a long-standing history of the Devilles living in the town. Number 4, she has some kind of history with fashion, whether she worked for a big fashion industry or she was a designer, and has an undeniable obsession with fur. Those clear and precise facts I identified in the movie still didn't give me much on her backstory, so I tried to find any other resources outside of the movie that might give some insight into who Cruella was before. Turns out the movie was inspired by a novel written by Dottie Smith in 1956. Now, Cruella in the book is very similar to the Cruella we know in the movie, both filthy rich and have a relationship with the Dalmatian's owner. The only really big difference is she is so fixated on furs that she actually marries a man who is a furrier, just so she can simply have access to all kinds of fur coats. This next part is my own theory of Cruella's backstory using the information from the animated movie and the book. I think Cruella was a young girl who came from a very, very wealthy family line. She grew up with parents who spoiled her rotten, and she always had a taste for the finer things in life. Although her parents gave her anything she wanted, she never spent much time with them. As a result, she was very, very lonely. So to pass her time, she would focus on drawing new fashion designs because she had high hopes of being a famous fashion designer one day. Cruella was a sweet and quiet girl who went to a local school, which is how she knows Anita. I believe that they were even good friends and would hang out after school. It was one particular evening on Cruella's birthday that she came home to an empty house and no parents in sight. But they did leave a very special gift. As Cruella went closer to the big, shiny red box, she saw a small, innocent Dalmatian puppy sitting and waiting for her. She would grow to love and adore this puppy, but things would soon take a turn and shake Cruella to the core and shape her into the evil monster we know her as. One day after school, Cruella returned home and found that her beloved puppy was missing. She frantically rushed to her parents' room and told her parents that she couldn't find the puppy anywhere. Little did young Cruella know that it was her parents who had gotten rid of the puppy. Her parents lied and said that the puppy ran away to live with someone else and that they were sorry and perhaps they could buy her a cat instead. From that day forward, Cruella lost her trust and her love for animals, particularly dogs. She would eventually grow older, inheriting her parents' wealth and working for a high-end fashion company. As she became more and more obsessed with fashion, she began to fixate on having the newest look, a style that had never been worn before. And this ultimately explains why she would go after Dalmatian fur specifically. My question today is, who is your favorite Disney villain? As always, thanks for being my guest here at Disney Daily. Until next time.